So what you are looking at right now is Loyola Reserve with the end of the game. Over here, the Bundoora United huddle is on the middle of the pitch discussing the game that they've lost despite coming in as the favourites. And now Diamond Creek will move on to the final of the 2020 competition, the Northern Region 2020 competition. Haydos, Diamond Creek coming in as the underdogs, winning the game. Was that surprising for you?
Probably line ball for me there. Certainly coming to Loyola College here is not an easy road trip there. Despite being down the road, they play the ground really well there with the deceptive boundaries like we talked about in the telecast there. So not an easy one, but Diamond Creek certainly would have backed themselves in there. Again, we've talked about them how deep they bat there. Throughout, even looking at the Barclays Shield scores, they've managed to bat the 80 overs, so your 8s and 9s and 10s in the batting order. They've got the batting practice, they're ready for these situations where they can score a little bit quicker. And then of course their bowling attack's top class there, so any score would have been confident about it. Of course, Bundoora United being the run chase kings, they would have backed themselves in no matter what Diamond Creek had gotten to. Anything under 140 for them was gettable. But of course in this case 127 was way too many.
It's interesting. There's no way of really knowing how you're going to imagine a run chase would happen in 2020. Not only because the momentum and the dynamics are so different from the 40 over games, but because there are so few of them over the course of a season. And so the fact that 127 is only a run a ball, and so it's hardly amazing. It's hardly, you know, a great trial. But throughout this competition, we've seen that just getting to 100 chasing is sometimes very difficult, and you end up losing by quite a significant margin just because you can't keep up with the required run rate. Even if you're chasing a 120 or a 130 score, just to keep up with that run rate as it goes from 7 or 6 towards 8 and 9, and it just becomes more and more difficult. Even though the fact that sometimes teams fail to chase 120 or 130 in a 40 over game, and then you think, well, can't you score 3.5 runs and over 40 overs? So it's hard to know what a good run chase is. And in the end, today we have seen Bundoora United fail in this one.
Well, for me, it's actually going to be seeing much more the bowlers there. The format we talk about there with these T20s, always Tuesday fixtures. So you think about from a batting point of view, you're going from potentially an 80 over fixture on a Saturday, 3 days time, probably no training sessions between then and Tuesday, and then you're playing in a T20 format, having to score, well, through basic maths 4 times as quickly with only a quarter of the overs there. So the bowlers themselves, they can keep it on a length still. There's probably a little bit more change up in terms of your skills to look at your change up deliveries, although from Bundoora United's perspective, they've kept a full and straight all tournament and they've gotten through the semi-finals here. Your bowlers don't have to change too much, but your batsmen do. So your most adaptable batsmen are going to thrive. We saw that before with Diamond Creek's batting with Camburis and Hill, and also the run chase with Pizzano. They've got the most flexible batsmen there, and that's why they thrived.
It's difficult to figure out what is more important, either keeping wickets in hand or making sure that your run rate is good from the start, because both of them happened today. Diamond Creek were able to score at about 6 runs and over throughout the first half of their innings and not lose too many wickets. And so they were able to keep going through the second half of their innings, and it was not until the very end that they started to lose too many wickets and they got bowled out. So both having a good run rate throughout your innings and not losing too many wickets is what happened to Diamond Creek. Conversely, Bundoora United suffered from both of the problems of losing too many wickets early on and not getting your innings underway with enough runs until a couple of overs down the track. And so they suffered from both of the weaknesses, and in the end their innings just could not get into the comparison with Diamond Creek, and it just unravelled over the course of the last half an hour.
You probably have to have just your most skilled batsman at the top there too, to make sure you can actually have a balance between the both there. Diamond Creek probably have the luxury there of having such a long batting order. I mean, we look at someone like Josh Adams there. He's made hundreds batting at 4 and 5 in the longer formats. Came in at number 9. Obviously today wasn't his day, only making the 6 runs there, but it just shows that flexibility there of having such a skilled batsman there at number 9 there. And then throughout that middle order, there's got so many batsmen who have those 2 gears there. The gear just to knock around singles, and then of course the ability to hit boundaries when you need to. Of course having the marquee hill helps, and when we do our obviously votes later on, I'm sure he'll feature there. But the batsmen around it were still able to use both those 2 gears there. A little bit slower in singles and then in the boundaries too.
Okay, so let's go through Diamond Creek's innings and let's just figure out what was a success, what was a failure for them.
Well, what they did after they lost a couple of wickets nice and early there, and in the first 4 overs they were only going at 3.5 runs and over there, they actually started to get the boundaries there through Taylor and Hill there, getting through it there. We look across there to the 5th, 6th and 7th over, 8 boundaries across 3 overs there, and we're talking about times, not just the times during the fielding restrictions, but also 1 over outside of that there. So they really took the momentum away, and after 7 overs they were 251. From there, from 13 overs, if you get a run of ball, that's 129, and they got 127. So it sets yourself up so well there. So from their point of view, Taylor and Hill did the damage. Looking then at someone like Camburis, no boundaries, but he still got to 17. So someone like that to get the more established batsman on strike there. Camburis is still a young man, so he's got a long way to go with his development. But he still worked the more senior batsman on strike there, so did a fantastic job there. And of course, having Hansen at the end making 24 not out there and hitting those boundaries there towards the end, it just makes such a difference there. So they've got skilled batsmen right across the order there. The things that work for me is that they've got the right batsmen in the right spots, and everyone had their role.
And like I said, not losing too many wickets too early. So their first wicket fell in the 3rd over, their 2nd wicket fell in the 4th over, their 3rd wicket fell in the 8th over, and the 4th wicket didn't fall into the 11th over. So for the first 10 overs, only losing 3 wickets. And you'd think that the upper limit of how many wickets you can lose before your innings doesn't have any potential would be about 8. And so the fact that they at least had 5 substantive wickets in hand going into the final 10 overs is why they were able to go from 73 at the end of the 10th to 125 at the end of the 19th. So that's 9 overs for 52 runs. So that gives you a sense, scoring about run a ball through the course of the majority of the second half of your innings.
You're exactly right there, and what they did is we talked about the key bowlers during the coverage from a Bulldog perspective there. Someone like Barnett, now he's a very key bowler there. He got 3 wickets in one of the earlier group stages. He got 1 wicket today. What it does is that instead of having a couple of wickets having to be a little bit slower against those 5th and 6th options, we saw Lee and Pete get dominated a little bit there. Between the 2 of them, they ended up going for, looks like about, if I've got my numbers right, about 44 off their not quite 5 overs. So it set themselves up that they picked their bowler that was going to be most threatening in Barnett. They saw him out. They also saw out Solar, who bowled 3 overs and just got the 1 wicket in that time. So if you can keep the good bowlers out and still get 5 or 6 and over, just sets yourself up.
Which is surprising considering the number of all-rounders you would expect in a good 2020 side. The number of players that can actually roll the arm over and do a decent job, you'd expect at least 6 or 7. And so the fact that you can actually afford to play out certain bowlers and know that there's enough weak bowlers that you can target, it's surprising. I think it must be a real, very large margin between an excellent bowler and a good bowler. Because obviously you need to be careful of the excellent bowlers, but even a good bowler, you can get away if the opportunity arises.
What you can do, especially as we talked about, especially yourself, you mentioned before about those 2nd and 3rd 11 players having to play these games with work commitments for some of the first 11, you can do your pre-planning when you see the sides announced there. You can have a look at which bowlers are actually coming from the second and third 11s and look at targeting those ones. And even if they're not necessarily bowlers, if they're batsmen, target them at that point in time as well there. So it gives an opportunity for those senior players to really target those players there. So it is clever batting there. Obviously Hill did a lot of the damage there, but it was right across the order.
And Bundoora United's bowling strategy and fielding strategy of bowling mostly medium fast to fast medium bowlers, bowling very full and having lots of fielders straight to prevent any cuts or pulls.
Well, we talked about 130 being par and they got 127. So from a bowling point of view, you'd probably give it a tick, but was it really a tick there? And that's not necessarily an issue there for the skipper Barnett there. He didn't necessarily have a quality off spinner. Think about Diamond Creek having Adams and Butler and throwing Smith in at the end, getting 6 and 7 overs between their spinners there. It just changed the momentum of the game. Bundoora just don't have that quality there. So when you're looking at players they may recruit, maybe as a marquee or maybe just as a player for their top senior side, have a look at the quality spinner there, seeing who's available there to actually play in these games. Otherwise, I think they're going to find the same problem there against the best T20 sides. They're just going to be found out as being too one-paced.
And so losing too many wickets too early on, so that by the time you actually are in a position to actually step up towards from 4th gear to 5th gear to 6th gear, there was just nothing in the tank. And so for Bundoora United, the first wicket fell in their 2nd over, the 2nd wicket fell in their 3rd over, 3rd in their 5th, 4th in their 6th, 5th in their 8th, and then in the 10th over they lost 1, 2, 3, 4, their 6th wicket and the 7th wicket. So they had 3 wickets in hand after the 10th wicket, and not only that, but they only had 48 runs on the board, so they were going at it's not about going behind the required run rate, that's not a matter. It's about how far are you behind the required run rate that makes it a problem. So going at 6 runs and over, chasing 127 is not an issue.
Well, you're exactly right there. We talked about the comparisons a little bit earlier there where they weren't behind. In fact, at the 6 over, they were in front. So it wasn't that bad. But one of the things that you actually talked about there was how there were also different overs. So you get different bowlers taking different wickets. So everyone's up and about from a fielding perspective there. You've got obviously Campbell getting a wicket there in his 2nd over. You've got Butler getting a wicket there. You've got Adams getting 2 there. So all the fielders are up and about, and a run out helps amplify that. So with the run out and also the missed chance with Pisano off his first ball. So suddenly the fielding team are up and about as well there. So it's not necessarily just how many wickets, it's also how many different people are getting wickets there and how many players are up and about after that.
So if we can summarize this game, you'd have to say that Diamond Creek have, it hasn't been a walloping performance. It's not like Diamond Creek have overwhelmed the situation. It's just that Diamond Creek have done a better job during each phase of the game and each area of the game. And so at no point were Bundoora United in a position where they could set up a win or harass Diamond Creek or make Diamond Creek beg for mercy. There was no point in which Bundoora United had so much momentum that they could actually be the chess master. They were always behind in one way or another, and in often multiple ways. And so it was just Diamond Creek were better on the day in all the different ways all the time.
It was a very professional effort there, and you actually talked about the captaincy of Bundoora United throughout their fielding, how it was being very conservative. And at the time it was fine, but looking at it from a hindsight point of view, maybe it wasn't adventurous enough. Maybe they could have been using some form of tweak, even if it doesn't necessarily bowl have maybe a man in close there, try and change the momentum there. Because it didn't throw off Camburis having those 3 or 4 men out all the time, just gave easy singles there. Hansen was always going to back himself with batting there with his 24 there, so probably a little bit too defensive and structured, if you like, with that. Diamond Creek were willing to throw men up. We saw Adams with not only just his hat-trick ball, but then the deliveries after that, having catching men there. They started with a first slip there. They had 3 men out most of the time. I think they only had 4 men out for a couple of overs there, so a little bit more creative McLean there with his captaincy. Probably something just to take away, and they'll look at the footage and have a think about the captaincy side of things. Not necessarily need a personnel change, but maybe just have a think about, do we really need this many men out? Who can come up, who can catch, and who can get this wicket?
Alright, well that is our post-game wrap-up. We have pretty much said everything that needs to be said about this game.
We will get through, of course, the votes there. Don't forget, we gotta get through that side of things.
So we're just going to take a quick break, and then we have the votes for player of the game, and then we have the quick explanation of what is left for Channel 8 to do for the course of this season, and then it's the goodbyes. So don't go away. Just after this break, we've got the remaining discussion of the post-game show.
Why even try to justify leaving? Why not just run away? Why even wait and hesitate breathing? Why would you wanna stay? Nothing you say can change the way he feels. Nothing could save you now. So just let this go. Every collapse that came to pass faded out of your memory. All of the times he left you blind, jaded, down on your aching knees. Why won't you see the lies that he's telling? Why won't you give it up and just to let him go? Shot down with no sound to the cold ground below. On the side of the street, you're on your feet, so take a step and calmly walk away. Your heart on a string without a wing flying, no one to hold the kite. He let you go, but still you blow by, oblivious to the height. Check out behind and you will find nothing's holding you to the ground. He just let you go. Shot down with no sound to the cold ground below. On the side of the street, you're on your feet, so take a step and calmly walk away. Don't let him pull you down. Just let him drown alone. Be all land, and someday you will find a truer hand. I know you tried to see his side clearly. I know you gave your all. I know you died a little inside when nobody heard your call. Every mistake you come to make grows and echoes inside your brain. You need to let them go. Shot down with no sound to the cold ground below. On the side of the street, you're on your feet, so take a step and calmly walk away. Yeah, shot down with no sound to the cold ground below. On the side of the street, you're on your feet, so take a step and calmly walk away. Take a step and calmly walk.
Alright, so people have left the ground. Everyone else is dawdling about. The club rooms will be coming to being shutting down in a very short amount of time. Some people are just still hanging about for whatever reason. Maybe some post-game chats, post-game beers for everyone who has to go to school or work tomorrow. It's goodbye. So with the remaining few minutes of light that we have on this Tuesday, the 6th of February, here at the Leola Reserve in Bundoora, it's time for talking about the votes for the all-important Channel 8 Player of the Year award. And Haydos, let's go through the players of Diamond Creek that have earned your votes.
Absolutely. A couple of honourable mentions, of course, as we always like to throw in. Pizzano did a fantastic job as clearly Bundoora United's best player. Carried the innings certainly the way through it there. Also did a good job with Sharky there with 4 wickets there again for the Bulldogs. From a Diamond Creek point of view, there honourable mentions. We look at Cam Burris, we talked about him with his control in his innings there at number 5. And also doing a fantastic job with the ball early was Butler there. Getting that first wicket is also important there. But of course, it's 3, 2 and 1 that counts. We can't go 10, 9, 8, 7 and so on and so forth. So we've got a 3, 2 and 1. And for one vote, I'm going to go Daniel Taylor there. Billing his innings with Hill there and getting those boundaries, making sure it wasn't just the one-man show was so important there from a Diamond Creek point of view. It was that second wicket partnership that helped keep the momentum, kept it about 7 runs and over early on. It meant they only had to go run a ball to get 130, which was comfortably winning score. So 1 vote for Taylor. 2 to Hansen. Well, whenever you score 24 and run through a couple of wickets with the ball, you're always in the mix for things there. Such control of his length there, didn't overpitch it like some of the Bulldog bowlers did there. And of course with the bat just dominated there. Made sure that even when Diamond Creek had that hiccup through the middle order there, still got the job done. And 3 votes, well, it's the Mr. Marquee Michael Hill there. Really important that he obviously qualified for this by playing that one group game and has played these knockout games. And it's just gotten better and better there. Today obviously took advantage of some at times unclever bowling, for lack of a better term there. Bowling on his pads and took advantage of it for those leg sides. Manipulated the field by hitting straight so well early on in his innings, meant they had to try something different and still control the game. Fell 1 short of a well-deserved half-century there, so won't go towards his half-century tally there, but of course he earns 3 votes today. So in summary, 1 to Taylor, 2 to Hansen, 3 to Hill.
Well, let's just have a look at what happened during the finals so far. So Hill scored 10 in the elimination final against McLeod, and then he scored 52 in the other final against Epping, and so that means that he has scored over 100 runs just in the finals of this, regardless of what he didn't do in the round robin.
Exactly right, and for the sake of, if they happen to get the final, the WA Smith Reserve, the Stars get over Riverside at that game, that's a small ground. He can certainly turn it on again there. Probably a little bit harder if it is going to be at Watmore Park there, but he's a good enough batsman to do it there. So certainly played well in that quarter final there, and of course in the semi-final today.
And so we won't obviously know who is going to be in the grand final until at least late tonight, if not tomorrow morning. So there's just no way of discussing at this point in time what Diamond Creek are going to be thinking about, or what they're going to be planning, or what they're going to be doing. They just have to think 7 days time there is going to be a final, and we are not going to be hosting it, so we are travelling somewhere, and it's going to be another 2020 game.
Exactly right. They've of course got their regular fixture in the Barclays Shield before then for most of those players there. Of course, for any updates there, you can tune into My Cricket there on the internet there for any scores across the Diamond Valley. And of course the Channel 8 Facebook page, also give that a like there. You'll of course get any updates, any videos there, of course past games as well for this season, as well as any upcoming games right up until finals time.
Not just liking the Facebook page, but also subscribing to this channel. We are currently at 14 subscribers at the time of this broadcast, so who knows how many we'll get by the end of this game. But we definitely are trying to get as many subscribers as possible so that we can get as wide a reach as possible through our broadcasting of the cricket. And speaking of Channel 8, Speaking of Channel 8, we have 2 games of the home and away season to film. We are filming Diamond Creek versus Riverside at Coventry Oval, which is in the Barclays Shield. So that is, Riverside are number 1 in the Barclays Shield, and Diamond Creek are either 4th or 5th, depending on what I saw last time on the ladder. So it's definitely going to be Riverside are already guaranteed into the finals, and they're probably already guaranteed a home final, and it's Diamond Creek really could not afford to lose this game, because if they suffered a big loss, they might lose their spot in the finals. Either they don't have it and they're going to be kept out of the top 4. Oh, they are 4th. So they have an extra game. So they are in the 4th, and so if Diamond Creek lose this game, they might start, getting nervous. But Riverside have all the momentum and all the control because they've been the best team in the Barclays Shield this season.
Exactly right, and arch rivals, of course, spices up the action there, so you can expect another electric crowd there for that contest.
Absolutely. And then the final game, of course, is the G4 grade, and we have Diamond Creek, the 7ths of Diamond Creek, playing at Campbell Street Oval. And who are they playing?
They're actually playing Research. They're currently 3rd versus 5th. That's, of course, dependent on this week's fixtures there. So it could be playing for 1 spot in the finals.
Oh, yes. Considering the fact that there was... it's quite a fierce competition for 2nd, 3rd and 4th place because the G4 grade only involves 7 teams and so many byes. It means that every single game is crucial to determining who gets into the final or not.
Oh, exactly right there. There's 9 points separating 3rd and 7th. That's a game and a half. So even the bottom side Rosanna, you just never know.
So if Rosanna win these 2 games, including an outright win, they could be in the finals. That gives you a sense of what the G4 grade has been this year. With so few games, with so many byes, and with a team dropping out, it means that anything could happen. But and then of course we've got the finals. Now the problem with the finals is obviously we've got no idea who's going to be playing in the finals, and we have no idea where they are going to be held, and so we have absolutely no idea what we're going to be doing on semi-final weekend, which is of course Labor Day weekend.
What we'll try and do, of course, is make sure there is a post nice and early during the week there on the Channel 8 Facebook page. Make sure you give that a like so you get the first opportunity to have an update. My Cricket will also have the fixtures there, but Channel 8, you'll know where the coverage is.
And that's everything. We have updated you on all the information you need to know, and so it's time to say goodbye. Matthew Haydos Hayden, after your long trip through the Christmas break, travelling around Australia, including a very spectacular event in the Gold Coast, commenting and watching cricket all across the country. Thank you very much for coming back down to the bottom of this gigantic continent to watch this game of cricket.
That's not a problem. I'll see you in the not too distant future.
And as for me, I am Chukka Wilson, and I have been your host and lead commentator, and this has been Channel 8, the local sports network, in association with our partners Bizz 99.9 FM. Goodbye from us, and we will catch you next time when we decide to broadcast some cricket. So goodbye, good luck, and we'll see you in a few days' time.
On the bedroom floor, these quiet eyes are spinning in the dark. A secret wish that none will know, she keeps it locked up in her pale heart. Wait for it, it's tired and it's true. It's all she ever knew. She dreamed knew. The background hum of city streets and whispers from the neighbors intertwine. Distant glow of beacon lights breaking through the cracks between the blinds. Wait for it, it's hiding out of view. Wait for it, it's all she ever knew. She dreams in blue. She dreams in blue. Wait for it, it's all she ever knew. She opens up her weary eyes, the foggy cloud of vision fills the air. She strains to make some sense of all the abstract shapes and colors everywhere. But all the blue just fades away, dissolving in a haze of gray. And lost inside her empty mind was everything she tried to find. But all the blue just fades away, she lost it in a haze of gray. She dreams in blue. She dreams in blue. Wait for it, it's all she ever knew.